What if you already know far more than your thoughts can explain? I think we humans have become so dependent on the mind, analyzing, comparing, debating, and looking for certainty that we have stopped trusting an entire way of knowing. Because sometimes clarity does not arrive as a thought. It arrives as a frequency, a somatic, energetic experience that helps us recognize what feels true, what feels coherent, and what moves us toward greater ease and flow. Maybe we already know. The question is whether we can feel what we know before the mind talks us out of it. And that is what we are going to be talking about today on Infinite You. Welcome to Infinite You, amazing souls. I'm Dr. Sheri, and here on this channel, I help you move beyond limits, align with who you truly are, and consciously create more of what you want in your life. Abundance, freedom, vitality, meaning, purpose, joy, whatever it is you came here to experience. So if conversations like this about consciousness, energy, identity, possibility, and creating a life that feels true for you resonates, go ahead, hit subscribe, hit like, and let's dive right in. I love the mind. I have spent most of my life thinking, analyzing, studying, evaluating, and trying to understand things from every possible angle. The mind is incredibly valuable. It helps us compare information, recognize patterns, solve problems, plan, remember, predict, communicate what we know. But the mind is not the entirety of who we are. And it may not always be the first part of us to recognize what is true. Sometimes we already feel something before we can explain it. We enter a room and sense the energy. We meet someone and notice what happens inside of us. We consider an opportunity and feel our whole system respond. We imagine one possible future and feel depleted. We imagine another and suddenly feel more alive. Then the mind arrives and begins arguing with the experience. Why would I feel that? That doesn't make sense. This is the more practical choice. What will other people think? What evidence do I have? And because we have been trained to trust what we can think about and explain, we may override what our whole being has already registered. The mind may need time to understand what your energy has already recognized. When we talk about knowing without thought, we often call it intuition. And I think intuition definitely may be a part of it, but I think it's even more immediate and somatic than that. What I'm describing feels broader than a hunch, a message, or an inner voice. It is just a whole being experience. So it includes things like sensations in the body, emotional information, expansion or contraction, vitality or depletion, resonance or resistance, coherence or inner division, a sense that you are becoming more attuned and aligned with your true self or moving farther away from yourself. It is the frequency of the experience, a person, a decision, a boundary, a desire, an opportunity, or a possible future can organize your energy in a particular way. Sometimes you cannot explain why you know, but you know how it feels to be in relationship with that possibility. And how many times have we looked back later and said, I knew, I just knew. I knew the relationship was no longer true for me. I knew I needed a boundary. I knew the opportunity was not aligned. I knew I wanted something more. I knew before I could explain how I knew. Clarity may not always arrive as an answer. Sometimes it arrives as a state your whole being recognizes. When I use the word frequency, I'm not simply talking about whether you feel happy or sad. I mean, emotions all have a frequency. I've talked about this before. Most of us know that, from guilt and shame all the way up, through anger, through feeling neutral, through feeling joy and gratitude and love. Every emotion definitely has a frequency. And your frequency is not a test at all of whether you are being positive enough. It is a larger state from which you are perceiving, choosing, responding, attracting, and creating. And it definitely includes the thoughts you are rehearsing, the identity you are creating from, what your body is experiencing, what your emotions are communicating, what you believe is available to you, what you are expecting, what you are willing to receive. We are energetic beings, and whether your choices are feeling internally coherent is very much part of the energetic aspect of who we are, the vibrational aspect of who we are. Two people can take the same action from very different frequencies. So you can create a boundary from clarity, or you can create a boundary from self-sacrifice. You can apologize from integrity, but you can also apologize from shame. You can pursue money from expansion, or you can pursue money from panic or lack or fear. You can rest because you respect your body, or you can rest because you have given up on yourself. You can become visible through authentic expression or through performance and the need for approval. So we all know that to be true. The action matters, but so does the energy and the identity moving through this. So your frequency is not only how you feel, it is the whole state from which you are participating in life. And this is where energetic knowing can get confusing, because a true choice will not always feel easy. A boundary can feel uncomfortable. A new opportunity can feel frightening. Becoming visible can activate fear. Choosing more may challenge an identity that you have lived from for years. And an old pattern can feel strangely comfortable, not because it is aligned, but because it is familiar. We all know this to be true. And so we can sometimes simply ask, does this feel good? And that definitely can be part of it, like that tuning in. Or does this make me nervous? But I think that the deeper question is, beneath the fear, does this feel coherent? Does it allow you to remain connected to yourself? Does it feel honest? Does it feel true? Does it create a deeper sense of recognition? Does something in you become alive? Or does the choice require you to divide yourself or shrink, perform, or abandon what you know, or return to an identity that you have outgrown? Think about the feeling of the words that I'm saying when you're shrinking, when you are abandoning what you know. We know that feeling as a frequency. We know it often comes in that feeling like in the pit of your stomach, right? That guttural feeling. Sometimes the aligned choice is the one that can scare you and strengthen you at the same time. Sometimes the misaligned choice initially feels easier because it allows everything to stay familiar. Do not confuse comfort with alignment, or fear with a warning that you are going the wrong way. You know at a much deeper level. And coherence will not feel identical to everyone, right? And we know that to be true. This is where your own energetic literacy and inner authority matter. But it may feel like, I think, a clean inner recognition, a relief underneath uncertainty, a sense that your body, your mind, your heart, your choices are moving in the same direction. I mean, to me, that's really energetic coherence, right? It's the frequency of the mind, the body, the heart, and the choices that we're making, and the soul, of course, all being in energetic alignment, in that same vibration, right? That what I call like that hell yes, where you have more access to your voice. You feel a sense of alignment, aliveness, and alignment and vitality. Or, something inside you begins to settle in a really cool way. Like I always have felt when I make a decision where it feels really, really energetically coherent, I feel a deep sense of relaxation, where you feel the less need to persuade yourself, or the sense that even if the choice that you're making is difficult, you know that you will respect yourself for making it. And we definitely know what energetic misalignment feels like, where you are repeatedly overriding yourself. You're trying to manufacture enthusiasm, or, where you still feel that need for external validation, or you are feeling divided somewhere within with mind, body, and soul, or you're losing access to your voice. So you know that the choice requires you on some level to abandon the truth of who you are. Or if you're feeling that energy is making you become smaller or flatter or less alive. So none of these sensations should be used, of course, as a rigid formula, right? This is a dynamic, being human is so darn dynamic when you think about it, this roller coaster called life, where it's really an intentional process of just like tuning in, like coming back to ourselves, right? Because a body can hold fear and conditioning and memory and fatigue and many different responses. And so this is not about turning every sensation into a prediction. It is really about becoming more curious, more intentional about the information your whole being is offering you. And I'm saying this in like a weird way, and I started the video off by saying this. We just live in for many of us, being really conditioned to believing that the mind is where we're getting all of our answers from, when we have, as energetic and spiritual beings, so many more resources available to us in an energetic way to feel really good as we move through life and make decisions and make choices and decide, what we would like to create more of. Energetic literacy begins when we stop demanding that every form of knowing arrives in words. I really want you to hear that. We do not need to make this complicated. Before analyzing a decision for another hour, just pause. Bring the possibility of what it is that you are tuning into in terms of feeling your frequency. Bring the possibility into your awareness. Do not immediately ask whether it is logical or practical or guaranteed to work. So just ask yourself, what happens inside of you when you imagine choosing whatever it is you're choosing, whatever you're experiencing. It works with everything. Think about when you wake up in the morning and, you're feeling sluggish and you're feeling low energy. Tune into that vibration, tune into that frequency. Don't use your words. Feel what it is you're feeling, what is going on inside of you that is creating that feeling for you, right? So notice your body. Notice your breath. Notice whether you feel more present or farther away from yourself. Notice the thoughts that immediately begin bubbling up for you. Notice whether those thoughts feel like truth or a familiar, protective way of being in the world. But you can use this on a personal level. You can use this in relationships. You can use it in the decisions you're making. You can use it in the way that you're creating your reality. So the question always becomes, what frequency can I choose from? What frequency do I want to choose from? Is it fear, scarcity, obligation, approval, self-respect, expansion, love, possibility, integrity? And finally, the question is, what choice would allow me to remain the most connected to what I know is true for me? You may not receive a dramatic answer. You may only notice that one direction creates a little more coherence. You can feel it. A little more energy, a little more honesty, a little more alignment and access to your truth and yourself. And that may be enough for the next step. You do not need to know an entire path. You need enough connection with yourself to recognize the next true choice. And I think that this really matters in terms of conscious creation, because we are always creating from a vibrational state. We create from vibration. We are creating what we believe, remember, is a vibration. What we expect is a vibration. What we notice is a vibration. What we choose is a vibration. What we allow is a vibration. What we repeatedly embody is a vibration. It is a frequency. And how we participate with the possibilities in front of us, all energy, all frequency, then a thought, then an action, then being in the physical body, being in the physical world. When we become more aware of our frequency, we can recognize, I am trying to make this decision from fear. I am chasing this from scarcity. I am saying yes because I want approval. I am saying no because an old identity is afraid to expand. Or we can begin saying, the more that we are tuned in, this feels true. This feels alive. This choice agrees with the life I want to create. We can move from reacting unconsciously to participating with greater awareness. Feeling your frequency helps you recognize not only what you are choosing, but who is choosing it. And I mean, that really goes back to beliefs and the identity that we are creating from. And so I want to leave you with 3 questions. Ask yourself, where are you continuing to think about something that your whole being may already recognize? What frequency are you currently bringing into this decision? What frequency are you bringing into a relationship? What frequency are you bringing into your day? What frequency are you working from, creating from, living from? Which choice allows you to remain most connected to yourself, and what feels true? You do not need to force an answer. Just pause, become present, feel before you explain, and allow your mind to work with your whole being rather than trying to overrule it. And so if this conversation resonated with you, I would love to continue it with you through my free Infinite You newsletter. I will put the link below in the description box. Every week I share reflections and practices to help you move beyond limits, align with who you truly are, and consciously create more of what you actually want. And then, of course, I have really cool offers in there, and challenges and freebies and the whole bit, and classes and all of that good stuff. And the link will be below. And I'm also creating a really cool community where you can really tune in and consciously create more of what you want through energy, vibration, inner authority, identity, and the somatic experiences of what feels true for you. I will put the link below when I have finish creating it, and I will make it available to you as soon as possible. But in the meantime, I would love for you to grab my Quantum Identity Playbook. It is really all about tuning into who you are, what is true for you, what you want, what is limiting you, making that pivot, and then getting into that quantum space of creating. And I will put the link below too. It is only $7. It is so cool, I'm telling you. But enough said about links and what is in the description box. I want to remind you that your mind is an extraordinary part of you, but it is not the all of you. You have a body. You are an energetic being. You are a spiritual being. You are an emotional being. You are a conscious being. You are connected to consciousness, to God's mind. You have an inner experience that may know something before you can put it into words. So the next time you find yourself thinking in circles, just pause. You may not need another argument. You may need to feel the frequency of the choice, because many times, you already know. And clarity begins when you trust yourself enough to feel what you know. So thank you so much for being here. And until next time, keep listening for what is calling you, keep choosing what feels true, and keep becoming more of your infinite you. Namaste, beautiful souls. I'll see you next time.